One blast of the horn and G303 is on their way. Tonight's original plan was to go out for M583 with 1871, the Atlantic Coastline unit, in the lead. But I would end up getting out earlier for G303 because of a dispute between two friends on which unit was actually leading this train. I was hearing from one side that CSX 51, a YN2 AC 4400, was leading the train, with 3446 second and 3276 as a rear DPU. I heard from another side that 3446 was leading the train, with 51 trailing, no DPU, and L829 was pushing it up to Palmer. Now, neither of these would be correct, as I would find out, as 3446 would lead and 51 would trail, but L829 was nowhere in sight. Now, it did take G303 roughly 16 minutes to make it from the Palmer Depot up to Auburn, which is just a mere 3 miles. So I'm not sure if they moved up and decoupled from L829, but that doesn't seem to be the case, as L829 never made an appearance in Palmer, nor ran northbound that I can recall that night. As G303 made its way north, they would meet M280 in Harper, and 582 they would meet somewhere along the northern part, probably as they were putting their train away in Comer. Those two would be it for the southbounds, and then we would have M583 and M281 as our northbounds. M583 was still coming out of Atlanta, and M281, unbeknownst to me, was working TDSI in Lawrenceville. L829 was still a mystery, and to this day, I'm convinced that they did not run that night. But here we are at the south end of Auburn, 16 minutes later, as the gates go down and G303 makes their way north towards Comer. M280 had a lot of stop and go action on the Abbeville that night, as they would stop in Harper to meet G303 and would come to another stop in Auburn to meet M281. Then, after M281 cleared, they would go down, stop, and work TDSI. At the time, I was unaware that M281 was working TDSI, so after a little while of M280 sitting at Auburn, I started to head south to try and figure out what was holding it, only to be met with M281 blasting north. While there are many places on the Abbeville that have a track speed of 50, the SG 530 defect detector is one of my favorite spots to catch trains at their fastest. Today, M281 hit a speed of around 47 to 48 miles an hour. After M281 made their way north, we would go down to Lawrenceville, where M280 would work TDSI and then continue south, where they would meet M583 around Gloucester. And we wouldn't have to wait too long until M583 showed up. .583 tonight was unusual in the fact that it had the 1871 Atlantic Coastline Heritage Unit leading, as well as a SD40-3 mid-train. Here we see 583 pulling into Palmer to work, where they would take the Palmer cut and put it in the yard while the rest of their train remains on the main line, which is why no trains could come south or bypass it going north during that time. One interesting thing about the Abbeville is how foggy it gets at night, especially during the late summer and during the fall. You can see the fog particles just swirling around the camera, illuminated by my video lights. And even then, it still doesn't do it justice as to how thick this fog was. .583 would do their work in Palmer, and I knew it would be a while before they got out. So I headed north towards Winder, one last stop before I would go home. And I'll let my narration from that night take it from here. If you've been a follower of my channel for a while, you've seen the video that I posted at least a year back of all 4 daily trains on the Abbeville in daylight, which was a very hard thing to do, as most of the trains end up running very spaced out with at least one running at night. So that was a perfect day to get lucky, get out, and see all 4. Well, today we are doing something similar, but the opposite. We are attempting to see all 4 daily trains at night. I've been out for about 4.5 to 5 hours now, and I've seen M280, M281, and CSX M583, who is currently working Palmer. My theory is that M582 is out here at Harper Siding waiting on M583 to work Palmer. If not, if I'm lucky, they haven't made it to Harper yet, and I can snag them moving around Statham or Bogart. I'm cresting the hill here, and it appears, oh, you could not script it any better than this. M583, the gates are M582, the gates are going down as I pull up. Can it get any better than this?